Have you ever felt a strange shift in your motivation right after telling someone your big dream? At first, it feels powerful. You say it out loud. They react. Maybe they're impressed. Maybe they're surprised. Maybe they say, "That's amazing." And for a moment, you feel closer to the future version of yourself. But then something subtle happens. The urgency fades. The hunger softens. The fire that once pushed you feels quieter, and you don't fully understand why. This is the dangerous side of sharing your dreams. Not because people are evil, not because you should hide everything, but because your brain cannot always tell the difference between talking about progress and making progress. When you share a dream, especially something ambitious, your brain receives social validation. That validation releases dopamine. Dopamine is the same chemical linked to achievement, reward, and success. So when someone says, "Wow, that's impressive," or "I can totally see you doing that," your brain experiences a small emotional reward. It feels like movement, but nothing has actually been built. This creates what psychologists call a premature sense of completion. You get emotional credit for work you haven't done yet, and the mind, in its efficiency, slightly relaxes. Why fight hard for something that already feels socially acknowledged? That's the first danger. But it goes deeper. When you speak your dream out loud, you also attach it to your identity. Now people see you as the one who's writing a book, the one starting a business, the one chasing something bigger. And this creates subtle pressure, because now failure isn't private, it's visible. And the human brain hates social embarrassment more than it hates personal disappointment. So if progress slows, if obstacles appear, if doubt creeps in, you may unconsciously avoid the work, because continuing means risking visible failure. But quitting silently would mean losing face. So instead, you drift, not fully committed, not fully detached, just stuck between identity and action. There's another danger no one talks about: energy leakage. Dreams are fragile in their early stages. They are like seeds under soil. They need quiet, protection, time to grow roots. When you expose them too early, you invite opinions. Some people will doubt you. Some will project their own fears. Some will subtly remind you of your past failures. And even if they don't say anything negative, their reaction can still shift your internal energy. Because once something is shared, it becomes social. And social things become influenced. Silence protects clarity. Speech invites noise. This doesn't mean you should never tell anyone your goals, but it means you must understand timing. There's a psychological difference between sharing a finished structure and sharing a blueprint. A finished structure can withstand judgment. A blueprint can be shaken by a single comment. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Sometimes we share our dreams not because we need support, but because we crave recognition. We want to be seen as ambitious, as evolving, as different from who we were. And that recognition feels good. But recognition without discipline becomes illusion. You start falling in love with the idea of who you're becoming, instead of doing the work required to become them. That's when sharing becomes dangerous, because the applause replaces the effort. And slowly, without noticing, your dream turns into a story you tell, instead of a life you build. There's power in silence. Not the silence of fear, but the silence of focus. When you work quietly, something shifts. There is no external validation to rely on, no social reward, no identity performance, only the process. And when progress is private, motivation becomes internal. You're not moving to impress. You're moving because you've decided to. That kind of motivation is slower, but stronger, more stable, less dependent on reaction. History shows something interesting. The most disciplined individuals often reveal their results, not their intentions, because results speak clearly. Intentions require explanation, and explanations drain energy. So maybe the real question isn't, should I share my dreams? Maybe the better question is, am I sharing this because it strengthens my commitment, or because it temporarily satisfies my ego? There is a stage in every transformation that must remain unseen. A stage where you are still inconsistent, still doubting, still fragile. If exposed too early, that stage collapses. But if protected, it becomes foundation. Silence is not secrecy. Silence is incubation. And sometimes the most powerful move you can make is to let people underestimate you. Let them think nothing is happening. While beneath the surface, everything is. Because when your results finally appear, they won't need explanation. They won't need validation. They won't need applause. They will simply exist. And by then, your motivation won't depend on who believed in you. It will depend on who you became in the quiet. That is the difference between a dream spoken and a dream built. And maybe the real transformation doesn't begin when you announce your dream. Maybe it begins the moment you decide to protect it. Because not everything powerful needs to be witnessed. Some of the strongest foundations are built underground. No applause, no encouragement, no audience, just repetition, just discipline, just quiet effort, stacking on quiet effort. In a world that constantly encourages you to broadcast everything, choosing silence becomes a form of strength. It forces you to rely on something deeper than validation. It forces you to build confidence without reassurance. And that kind of confidence is different. It's not loud. It's not performative. It doesn't need constant confirmation. It's steady. There will be a day when people see the result. They'll ask how it happened. They'll say it looks sudden. They'll call you lucky. But they won't see the nights you didn't talk about it, the days you doubted yourself and kept going anyway, the moments you almost quit, quietly. And that's the beauty of it. Because when your dream survives silence, it becomes stronger than opinion. So maybe you don't need to stop sharing everything forever. Maybe you just need to ask yourself, is this dream ready to be seen? Or does it still need the darkness to grow? Some things grow better in the quiet. And sometimes, the less you say, the more you become.